Welcome back to the Big Circle with your host,
Derek Followell.
and I'm Ivy Heron Jr. with Mr.
Zachary Bland.
Hey, we're excited to be back on the final part of the series.
Yes, we were going to do 2 episodes, but man, this become before, during, and after. We might have to change it. But anyway, before, during, and after, just because it was interesting. We couldn't leave any parts of the story out. It's just good stuff.
Yeah.
So let's pick up. Let's talk about, you're out of John 3. You're doing some things in your life now that are cool. Let's talk about your business. Let's talk about your family. Just tell me what life looks like now for Zach.
I graduate, I stay on for 4 months, and then I transition back into the world, and I never knew. It was almost scary because
You stayed on as an instructor to lead other men for about 4 other months, didn't you?
Right.
Okay, good deal.
So how long have you been out of John 3?
Let's
not
see.
sure.
That would be about,
probably
I've been
about
out
2 years.
2 years, yeah. That's
2
about
years?
right.
2 years.
Yep.
Cool.
It's I literally never heard of Paraguay, so I thought it was a weird sounding name. I didn't even know how to pronounce it. It was kind of odd. And what's cool about that is that I got the opportunity to come up here, and a guy here in town named Adam Acuff, he gave me the chance to come up here. And that's what's really cool about the ministry is that you make this network of people and then their families. And through doing that, I got the opportunity to come to Paraguay, Arkansas. I transitioned up here into his transition house, and I'm always grateful for what he did for me. He didn't even know me. He gave me a shot.
Right.
I came up here. There's just another set of people that I really owe a lot to, and that's Danny and Kirk Ford of Glen Sane. So I came out of John 3:16.
God bless our troops.
Yeah.
I just felt like I had to say that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So
I apologize.
I come out of John 3:16 with one 8mm ratcheting wrench that I kept from the body shop. I'm sorry, Perry Ross, you're not getting it back. And it's my favorite tool. I have it hanging on top of my toolbox still to this day.
We do not count that as theft. He borrowed it until he'll give it back to him in heaven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
You're sick and twisted.
I come out, and the next day I'm sitting in Glen Sane Ford in Kirk Ford's office. And he doesn't ask me about tools. He doesn't ask me anything about that. He says, "Can you be here at work in the morning?" And I'm like, "I don't have any tools. You want me to change oil or what do you?" He's like, "Can you be here at work in the morning?" I'm like, "Yeah, okay." And he said, "We'll go get whatever you need." And I always will be grateful for Kirk for doing that because I literally came out with nothing. And at this point, I came out. We go get everything I need. And he's like, whenever you get a chance, when you want to, you can pay me back. And that means so much to me. And I really respect Kirk and Danny a lot because they're awesome people, especially to work for. You just become family with them. So I come out, I go to work for Ford. I start to continue my education through them. And I would say probably about 2 weeks later, I go to a meeting here in town at Next Step. And I hear this guy speak named Kenny Pugh. And he's talking about how he's the minister here in Greene County. And I'll never forget this night, too. This is kind of what led me down my little lane in life of helping people. And what he spoke about being a chaplain. He spoke about he was a member of the Gideon's Association.
Right.
And I knew I was supposed to go up there and talk to him. He said afterwards, "Hey, if anybody was interested in jail ministry, hey, let's talk." I got in my truck that night. And I drove down, what's that road? Rocking Chair that goes towards the jail?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Surprisingly enough, I know that I'm a little directionally challenged, but yes, rocking chair. Can't forget that one.
Got arrested on that.
Oh no, I've just been on the jail a few times.
I get halfway down that road, and the Lord just won't leave me alone. And, man, I put my truck, I pull up in these people's driveway, I don't even know who they are. I turn around, I go back to, it's where the old Ridge City Church was.
Yeah.
Across from Come and Go. And I go back in there, and I didn't even know what to say to this guy. Or I just went up and told him, I was like, "Hey, I'm new to town. I'm interested in helping you." I told him my story, where I come from, what I'm doing. And he's like, "Well, how I started was I was actually getting Bibles, glasses, helping them in that way." And then he's like, "Well, I can get you in if you'd like to go." And
so let me ask you this. So when you walk in and you tell him, "Look, I'm interested in helping," tell me his response to you.
Well, he'd ask, "Well, how exactly do you want to help?" And I was kind of like, "Any way I can."
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, how can I help? He's like, well, we need eyeglasses, we need Bibles, and we need volunteers. So I started buying him Bibles, I started getting eyeglasses, and then not very much longer later, I started going into the jail with him. And
So I asked that question on purpose, intentionally. What we have to understand about when we get this calling and we're like, man, I want to do something greater. Sometimes it starts with just being the gopher, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and so many times people just want to jump into, well, I want to do what the important things are. Right. Well, you have to work your way to that, absolutely. And you didn't skip that process, and he didn't let you skip that process, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I start going with Kenny from pod to pod because it's kind of like I guess she's like a chaperone. Go see
right.
if you're going to be a fit.
Yeah.
See, and it was just something that was natural to me. Golly, when I tell you I don't know how many county jails I've been in and how many states, I would estimate somewhere at least above 50. It just was like a second home, you know.
It's almost like we fit in with all those people because we're just like them.
Just like them.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I tell as we get into this story. It's what I tell all my guys, whether I'm in a state penitentiary, whether I'm in an RPF program, I'm in a county jail. There's no difference in me and you other than the clothes we're wearing today.
Right.
And there's no difference in what can your life be if you decide to change it.
You're on the other side of the bars, and
that's all it is.
Yeah.
We're both sitting in here. We're wearing different clothes, and we both have the same potential.
Yeah.
So I get to go with Kenny for a couple weeks, and then he gets me. You get approval, and then I start going to the jail. And in that, I start meeting a whole bunch of guys who are just like me. And what I started to do, like backtrack to my story, I was supervised in all these different counties because I couldn't quit taking people's stuff that didn't belong to me.
Right.
Yeah.
I start looking at all these guys on the inmate roster before I go into jail, and I see the same charges that I had.
Right.
And I was like, you know, I started getting allowed to do what's called a one-on-one. I'd go get guys. We'd sit down, we'd talk kind of like this.
Right.
And I'd say, hey, you want to get some help? And I started working with the courts in that way of, hey, can we get this guy? Can we go get him some help? And it just, I don't even know how it started, and somehow you find yourself doing that.
Willingness.
Yeah, that's it.
Started with your willingness.
Just show
hey,
up.
I want to help.
Yeah, absolutely. And my dad taught me this in life, and I still believe in it. The only dumb question you'll ask is the one you don't.
That's
Yeah.
right.
You know, just show up, be willing, and be available. We're taught that at John 3 of just find something to do.
Yeah.
Sweep the floor. Pick
Yeah.
up trash.
I often tell people, if you don't know what to do, just do something.
Absolutely.
And you'll make a difference in doing it.
Absolutely. So me and Kenny Pugh hit it off, and we become friends, and then somewhere down the line, he started inviting me to these Gideon breakfasts on Saturdays mornings. And I get the opportunity to become a Gideon. I get accepted. And just like you said, being willing, the Gideons, they're approved to go through the state prisons. And one day, I get an email about going to, I believe it was Tucker, the Tucker unit.
Yeah.
I'm like, of course, yeah. So that's how that all started. Going through the prisons is just, I'd love to. And I appreciate the Gideon Association for that reason, is that they already had dug the well of that.
Yeah.
And I basically got to hop on their coattail.
Yeah.
And through that, when I'd go to these penitentiaries, the chaplain always, it's not a paid position, most people don't know. The chaplains, you meet them and you become friends with them, and you're the and a bunch of guys who are 50 to 70 years old, you're the 30-year-old guy who's covered in tattoos. You stick out a little bit. And you begin to form relationships with a lot of inmates and with the chaplains, because you really become, I'm not saying you, but your story, your impact, like we talked about before,
Mm-hmm.
you can provoke a change in other men that, just like I saw in a man, if that dude can do it, maybe I can.
Right.
And
Yeah.
through that, I began to travel through the state penitentiaries, and just a willingness. The next county would open up, and we just got accepted in another county last week over in Clay County.
It's awesome.
And man, I'll tell you one thing. You're taught, and Jesus set the perfect example of it, is serving. Just show up and do something, like you said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I began to show up to these places and tell my story and tell them about what happened to me. And me and Ivy's been to Craighead several times together. And I'll tell you one thing that will fire you up and change your life. You see a guy, I'll never forget, I've got several of these stories, but I'll never forget down here in Greene County Jail. You're telling people about the Word of God. You give an altar call, and I'll never forget this guy. He's in federal prison right now. Unfortunately, he'll probably be there for a while, but you're in there and you're giving the word, and then you start to tell people that Jesus died on the cross for you, not for everybody else outside there, for me, for you. And as you begin to give the altar call and you begin to close things up, I guess you would say, you start to see this guy who's covered in tattoos, and it tears me up to this day to relive this, because you see this guy who's just you can tell the life he's lived. We don't have to talk about it. You've seen it. He's covered head to toe in tattoos, and then you see this one little tear start to go down his face. And you're like, oh, man, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to cry in front of all these guys in this county jail. And then you see this guy, as you give the altar call, just start to cry and just start to walk forward. And then here's me and him crying in the middle of this thing. And to see God change people like that.
It's awesome.
It's one of the coolest things I've ever been a part of. And I own a business, and I got, I'd say a year later, after I left Ford and started my own business, and I own an automotive shop, and all that is second class. It allows me to work with the courts and probation.
That's
and
awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I want to dig into that a little bit deeper after we go to commercial. Man, just to hear you being in the jails, you being part of Gideon, all those, man, it's killer. It's just it's amazing what your journey looks like. Thanks to all our sponsors. We'll be back in just a few.
Leisure Comfort. At Leisure Comfort Heat and Air, we provide friendly heating and air conditioning repairs done right. We repair all major brands and give reliable options to get your system working properly. In the unfortunate event that a new equipment is necessary, we can make the installation seamless and easy. We install all major brands with free estimates and flexible financing options. Upgrading your HVAC system has never been easier. Whether you're looking for HVAC system repairs, seasonal maintenance, new equipment, or general construction needs, our trained technicians will get you on the best path to enjoying a comfortable home environment. J&M Trailer Sales and Service. J&M Trailer Sales and Service. Huge selection of trailers, trailer repair, and prices so low, it's stupid. Also, if you don't want to commit to buying a trailer or a piece of equipment, they rent it out as well. Trailers, car haulers, skid steer, excavators. J&M Trailer Sales, located at 2510 South 2nd Avenue, Paragould, Arkansas.
All right, welcome back to the Big Circle. We're here with host Ivy Heron Jr., Derek Followell, and our special guest
Zachary Bland.
All right. So we're just excited about everything that's happening. We've talked about the after story, what's happened in Zach's life, you getting in and just helping guys that are in the same spot you were, just on the different side of the bars, and letting them know that they can become anything they want to be. Let's talk about your business. What do you got going on? What's that look like? How's God blessed you and all that?
I tell you, I guess you'd say it's more than a business. I'm blessed enough to work for myself and own a business. It's an automotive and diesel repair shop. And, my office is, it's an office for people as well, as far as like being a hospital for people, not just cars, because in my business, I work for myself. It allows me, when a guy's struggling at parole or something, I can shut the shop. And it's normally about 2 weeks, or my good friend down here at probation and parole, he'll just send guys down there, and that's always a wild one. You're in there checking a customer out, and here comes this guy who needs help, and he's 100 miles an hour.
That's right.
And these people are looking at you like, what in the world
What's going on?
But it's cool because I've always had a passion for this. I went to college when I was young to go to automotive technology, and it's something I've always enjoyed and I love. And it's more than a job to me because it's something I truly enjoy. If you go down this street at 11 o'clock at night, you're probably going to see the bay doors open. It's my piece of heaven on earth. I love it.
Right. Yeah. You're down there working.
Man, I love it. And I'm blessed enough to be able to help people, because it's really about people. It's not really about cars.
That's right.
I love people.
Yeah.
I love talking to people.
Yeah.
About half the day spent doing that. and I've got some really good guys that work for me.
Did you ever think you would say I love people?
No,
Me neither. Like I take, man, that's God's greatest resources, people, and I literally love people. And sometimes when I say that, I still have to pinch myself because I'm like, that don't even sound like who I was. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I'm watching Ivy, as he got out and he started trying to get, he's focused on, I got to get the business and I got to get, I got to live up to my dad's legacy and all this stuff, and then all that stops, and I watch him start just loving people. Yeah. And I'm just like, oh, we made it. You know what I mean? That's what really matters.
Yeah. And so what we've realized too, in both of our careers, man, our place of business isn't just that place of business. It becomes a ministry.
Absolutely.
So
100%.
Leading by example and showing, not shoving it down their throat, but by our actions. Yeah. And man, and just loving people, because everybody that comes through our doors, we don't know what they're going through, but when our job is to be kind, caring, loving, compassionate, they see something different in us. And that's such a blessing in itself. So
that's awesome. So this shop gives you the freedom to shut the doors when you need to, go visit guys if you got to go visit guys, go deal with your other responsibilities that are loving people.
Yeah, it is a night and day difference going from being a homeless heroin addict to owning one of the top shops in town. And I credit it all back to, man, my father is one of the hardest working people I've ever met. To this day, he owns a plumbing company, still crawls under houses. Makes no sense. Yeah. That's just how we're built.
Yeah.
And
how's your parents' thought process of you now?
Sometimes they're my best friends. I mean, my dad is one of my.
He's got to be proud.
Yeah, man. My dad always. I'll never forget this. Every detox facility I walked into, every treatment facility I walked into, there was two people with me, my mom and my dad. Even when everybody else left me, my mom and my dad. And they were always telling me, you can do this. And I'll never forget that. And, it's crazy going from that, being a taker, to being a giver. It's cool for the first time in my life to be able to go buy my dad a truck.
Yeah.
And it's nothing about money. It's about my dad took care of me through all of my 20s and all my messing up and all the money he put on my books and all the courts and all that.
Probably still ain't caught up with the truck.
Man,
he's still ahead of me.
Man, I'm telling you. And it's crazy to go from that to being a business owner.
Yeah.
It's really just a platform.
Yeah.
Anybody that walks in that office and will sit down for a minute, they're going to hear my story.
Oftentimes, I tell the people at the church, the church pays me a salary so I can dig in the ditches. That's what I mean. That's literally what is the most important thing to me. It's not about. These things are cool. Just getting to share the story and get the word out, get the message out. That's awesome. I love it. But my greatest of greatest times. I get chill bumps talking about it. Digging in ditches, man. Just helping people out and think, hey, there's hope.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that Ivy hit on it earlier. Every person you come in contact with, just the statistics of drug addiction and the life and the world we live in, every customer we deal with, I can promise you they have at least 1 to 2 family members who are struggling in drug addiction.
Yeah.
Who might be, one really good thing is that maybe they're early on out of a treatment center, they're going through a treatment center. Every single person, I promise you don't know one person who doesn't have a family member or themselves are struggling.
Yeah, absolutely. Truth.
And that's why it's important to embrace your past.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, if it happened before this date, I promise you it's true if you've heard about it. And there's probably a lot you don't know about.
Yeah.
But then, look, this is what can happen when you give your life to the Lord.
Yeah.
And I love it's so wild to, sometimes I have to pinch myself.
Yeah.
It's so
It's almost unbelievable sometimes when you look about, out of that darkness. So tell us, this is super cool. We talked about this off camera, but you've obviously got a storied past. So some of your rights were taken away.
Right.
Tell them one of those things that was restored to you.
I have. So one of my biggest passions in life is this. I grew up with my dad hunting from the earliest memories I have. And I lost my right to hunt. Well, I've lost them about 3 times. The first time was for 3 or 4 years, then 9 years, And then I believe around 2016, I lost them for life. No getting them back. Just that simple. And it's a long story, but I ended up breaking a federal law with a protected bird, and I lost them for life. And man, I believe it was the craziest thing ever. For some reason, I was like, man, maybe I could get my hunting license back. And I called the Arkansas Game Fish Commission. I don't remember exactly the date. And I told them who I was. It was our local office in Garland County, and they're like, "Why are you calling us?" Yeah, and man, I mean, boy, yeah.
Are you on heroin again, boy?
Yeah.
You ain't never getting your license,
man. I probably paid 2 or 3 people's salaries at least.
Right,
man. And I tell you what, and I had gotten into an altercation and flipped a truck running from a game warden. And I ran into that game warden after I was doing good for a little while. And we kind of hit it off. He was struggling in addiction, actually. And I won't say his name. But he was going through some hard times in life and some health issues. And he didn't even really recognize me. And, man, we kind of hit it off. And I started telling him who I was because I looked like a different person.
right.
And me and that guy ended up, and we're friends to this day. We ended up hitting it off, and he's going through a really rough time with cancer right now. But he wrote a letter of recommendation and said, hey, this is, because I was not a very smart individual, ride around all night with a 12 gauge. Just
Stupid stuff.
For months at a time, not like every once in a while, and got caught over and over and over and over. And
when you keep going back, you're pretty easy to catch, right?
yeah. But
oh,
anyways,
it's the guy that was here last night with the 12 gauge.
Yeah. And man, I ended up getting my hunting rights back. And one thing in life,
awesome.
One thing in life that I truly, truly, truly enjoy is not just hunting. I love the deer hunt. If it has a season behind it, I love to do it. It could be crawdad season. I love it.
You want to do it, right?
But one of my biggest passions in life is not just whitetail hunting, but any kind of waterfowl hunting. And, man, this year, being a business owner, I was fortunate enough to be able to every day shut my shop, go to work afterwards. And, man, it's been one of the most awesome. And I'll tell you a quick story about that. I ran into this guy. If you know about duck hunting, you're in a duck hole. You see a headlight in that hole, you don't go there. It's already taken. We're hunting public land.
Right.
I'm hunting by myself this day, and I get out there. And I see a boat coming in. They're not stopping. I'm like, oh, man. And sometimes it gets a little bit rowdy out there, you know. And I was like, all right, it's going to be all right. This guy comes in. I'm like, hey, you hunting by yourself? He's like, yeah. I was like, let's just hunt together. And it's dark. And this guy's name's Casey Maxwell. He's from here in town. Mm-hmm. And it's dark. We're throwing out decoys. We're talking about life. I'm telling about my story and how crazy it is. And we end up hitting it off before daylight even hits, and we end up telling each other about how our lives used to be different, how he's got a kid on the way. He used to be different. We've given our lives to the Lord. We were both kind of not wanting to hunt by ourselves, and he was at the boat ramp listening to all the things that duck hunters talk about and the wildness of it. And in this great gap of time, the Lord decided to put these two dudes in this one duck hole, and we become pretty good friends.
Must have been one of those coincidences. Y'all don't ever believe in God just connecting things
exactly.
together. Yeah, right.
It's really cool.
Bigger than a coincidence.
Man, it's really
Connection.
cool. And I've got one more. A good friend of mine now, I met him on Ticket Trail. We go around and we sell tickets to events. And I met this guy in Bryan, Arkansas. Awesome guy, had the same story as me. He went to a place called Renewal Ranch. He wrote me. We were selling tickets. He said, hey, what do you need? I told him. He just wrote a check. Never met this guy before. Fast forward, I graduate John 3:16. I get my hunting rights back. I'm in a duck hole about 4 holes over from that same place. Me and this guy's talking. Same thing. He's hunting with my buddies. He's from out of town, from Bryant. And things start to sound familiar. And I look down, and on his duck call, it has 828. I'm like, there ain't no duck call that's called 828.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, what's that 828 about? There's a duck call called 737.
Right,
That's
right.
a brand. I'm like, what is that? He's like, it's Romans 8:28. And I remember this guy gave me a business card that said Romans 8:28.
Okay, cool.
And he's my friend Randy. And years later in a duck hole, we reconnected. And now we're really good friends.
That's awesome.
Man, and it's just cool to see how the Lord works.
Absolutely.
He just puts people together.
All right, we're going to go to commercial, and then we're going to wrap it up. We're going to talk about going backwards, and we're going to talk about staying out of that. We'll be right back.
Introducing the Sunroom. The house can get crowded, and if you need somewhere for family or friends to stay during the holidays, the Sunroom is a pet-friendly rental in Paragould, Arkansas, with a top-rated Airbnb Superhost rating. Beautiful scenery overlooking a nice pond, peaceful, relaxing, and much better than a hotel. Heron Tire, best from the east to the west, serving Paragould and all of northeast Arkansas for over 56 years. Tire shops have come and gone. Heron Tire has remained. We keep getting bigger and better. Got a flat? You don't have time for that. We'll get it patched up and put you back on the road. Stuck on the farm? No time to play? Call us. We're on the way. If you need to get the crops planted and you're feeling stressed, call Heron Tire. We're simply the best. New tires? We got you. Used tires? We got you. Rims, lift kits, oil change? You guessed it. We got it. So come see us at either of our Paragould locations at 700 East Kings Highway or 300 Airport Road. Heron Tire Service, 870-239-8466 or 870-240-0090. Yes, best from the east to the west. Quality Voices, hiring now for daytime and nighttime shift. They are a faith-based company that works on behalf of political endeavors and nonprofit organizations. You can fill out an application at 5510 Southwest Drive, Suite 4. They have great management, great family atmosphere, and a great environment. Quality Voices, Jonesboro, Arkansas.
Welcome back to the Big Circle with
Derek Followell.
Ivy Heron Jr. and our guest.
Zachary Bland.
All right. This has been awesome,
Yeah.
man. I've enjoyed this.
Yeah, this has been a great inspiration.
So, I mean, what we want to kind of end with is this. I mean, man, from the beginning to now, it's not the ending. You're still in the middle of the story, right?
Yeah.
But from the beginning to now, I'm just excited about what all you'll accomplish before it's all over. But we've hit on this a couple times during these few episodes. Is, man, just stay the course. Don't go backwards.
Yes.
Like, for me, and I'll start with me. For me, it was 2007. You know, you'll often hear me say, I haven't had a bad day since 2007. Because in 2007, I was like, I'm sick of this. I'm not living my life this way anymore. I'm going to make a difference. I didn't know how. I didn't know who I was going to connect with.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was going to do. I just knew I wasn't going to do what I was doing before.
That's right.
And just like you, I mean, I don't have time to tell all the connect stories of just things that have happened in our life. People that I needed desperately, I wouldn't be here today, right?
Yeah.
That have just supported me. So for anybody out there that's struggling, maybe you just bumbled onto this podcast because it was because before and after, and maybe you're still in your before, man. Listen to Zach's message and realize that there's an after story. You get out of it, find a way, find help, ask for help.
And you don't have to go back.
No,
you don't have to go back.
You don't have to go back. So tell me, how are you staying the course? How does it hurt to see the people that haven't?
Man, just good relationships, man. Proper communication with people that truly love you, truly care for you. I remember I can look back 12 years until 3 years ago, and I remember what my life was like. And I remember it was total chaos. And I remember the fact that, you harped on the fact that your dad's your best friend, and you get these moments with your dad. And you get to do all these awesome things, and it pumps me up because my story's a little bit different. My dad died while I was in active addiction, and he never got to see me go through those moments of restoration with John 3:16. So I look at that not as a bad thing, but it's such a beautiful thing that at that time that the Lord had to take him for me to be exactly where I'm at today. I look at that as a blessing, and it's those tough truths that will make you see the light of bigger things. But now I get to look at, my mother gets to see all of these things that's happening. My wife, my kids, all of those things pump me up to never go back. And I see I can look back in those years and see what Satan tried to take from me, what the locust has eaten. And now I look forward 3 years from now, and I see what the Lord has restored in my life. I won't ever go back.
You know, he was talking about buying his dad a truck, and and then I was thinking, you're driving your dad's truck that he bought you. Two different scenarios. He has his dad, you lost your dad. But guess what? Neither one of you made an excuse in the middle of it to say, I'm going back.
That's right.
So no matter if you've lost or you've gained or you've restored or something happened that was different, man, there ain't no reason to go back.
That's right.
You've proven that even in that pain that dad's gone, you didn't use that as an excuse to go backwards.
No more excuses. Tired of them. I had excuses for 12 years.
Absolutely.
Close us out, Zach. You tell us.
Not going back. Everybody in here has lost people, and it's there's only one person that can make you go back. It's not losing your dad. It's not losing your marriage. It's not losing your kids. It's yourself, and it's that battle within yourself. Ivy hit on it perfectly. If you surround yourself with people who are doing the same thing, like we learned to do, because that's where we learned it, and you find a place to serve. You make your life just like Jesus. You make your life about serving other people, and not about, because we're selfish human beings. As it is.
By nature.
And if you find that and you get in there and you just look for a place to serve and you put your head down and you love people, it's hard for me to leave the penitentiary after seeing these guys, or to leave a county jail and seeing men give their life to Jesus to want to go back.
Absolutely.
So stay plugged in, serve somewhere.
Absolutely. Zach, it was an honor to meet you, dude.
Absolutely.
I'm better by knowing you better. I promise you that. Thank you for being open, transparent, coming to be with us, share your story. Man, it's been awesome. We thank you so much.
Zach, it's such a blessing to call you one of my best friends.
Amen.
I'm so excited.
Same here. I love you, brother.
So if you need to get your car worked on, I would go to his shop. If there's somebody there acting crazy, they probably come from
the parole office.
It's
It's okay. Don't worry about it.
It'll be okay.
It's under control.
Everything is fine.
They lined them up the other day. We had work release come in for new guys. They lined them up. I said, hey, this is all right. This is good. These are men that were just like me, guys. It's
That's
okay.
exactly right.
So,
I think that is the biggest thing. If you or your family are struggling with addiction, reach out. It's not hard to find us.
Get out of the pride that I can handle this myself. Man, we can't do this alone. We are better together.
Absolutely. And I'll end with this. I had a young lady call me today, and I'm, this will be 3 weeks. 3 weeks from the day I'm saying this will be this episode airing. But she called me today. I felt my phone vibrate. I was on the lawnmower. It vibrates again. Somebody calling you multiple times. I pick it up. This young lady said, Derek, I need to get in the way. And the first thing I said, the way is a women's rehab. And the first thing I said to her is thanks for asking for help.
Amen.
Yes.
Don't ever be foolish enough. Even us sober.
Yes.
Even us living our lives like we are. Don't be foolish enough to not ask for help.
How many times a day do I call you? Let's not answer that question. We're going to end on that note.
Thank you, everybody. We appreciate you joining the big circle. Ivy, tell them what to do.
Hey, make sure to give us a thumbs up on Facebook. Give us a 5-star review on Google, Spotify, Apple. 4 stars, throw it in the garbage. Share it if you got something good out of it, which how could you not after something so amazing?
Share
What a
it
blessed
if you didn't
life.
get something good. Just share it. Share it because change your name to Share and share it. I don't care. Whatever you got to do.
Just share it. And
we're out.
Y'all have a good evening.